Alright guys, so this is going to be a quick little video on an introduction to the logarithmic function, which is the function we're going to be looking at for the next couple of days here. So first of all, the parent function for a logarithmic function is y equals log base b of x. Of course, log being short for logarithm. Alright, so first of all, notice over here in our notes it says that a logarithmic function is going to be the inverse of an exponential. Okay, and that's going to be very important for us. Yeah, the inverse of an exponential. An exponential is a function that we've looked at in the past. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and start off with that exponential. This is going to be a quick little refresher on what we've talked about in the past. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is create myself a quick little table here. So first of all, I'm going to need some x's. And the x's that I'm going to use for my table are going to be a 0. We're also going to use a 1. And then we'll also use 2. We'll go ahead and keep this simple here. So if I plug in 0 for x, 10 to the 0 power would equal to 1. 10 to the first power would equal to 10. And 10 squared would be 100. So all I've done is created a quick little table with 3 points. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and graph these 3 points, starting with 0, 1. So I'm going to come over here to my graph and put a point roughly where 0, 1 would be. So somewhere right about here. The next point would be 1, 10. So 110, again, this is just a rough estimate, would be somewhere in this general area here. And of course that last one, 2, 100, would be way up here. So if I were to draw or connect these points, the graph would look something, let me grab my pen here. The graph would look something like this. Alright, let's see if I can get this. And there's our exponential. Okay, so again, this is something that we've talked about in the past. So a log is simply the inverse of this exponential here, meaning we're going to take this table of values. Remember, we've talked about inverses. We're going to take this table of values and we're just going to swap the x and y, because that's what an inverse is. So now instead of having 0, 1, that now becomes 1, 0. Okay, so again, all I'm doing is swapping the x and the y. I'll do the same thing for the next point. 1, 10 now becomes 10, 1. Okay, so that's the new point. And that last one, 2, 100, now becomes 102. And then I'll do the same thing. I'm going to go ahead and plot these points. The first one being 1, 0. So again, I'm just going to roughly estimate where 1, 0 to be, which would be somewhere right around there. The next point being 10, 1, so that's going to be way over here, right here. And then again, that last one is going to be way out here somewhere where we can't even see, so 102 would be somewhere in this general area. So again, if I were to connect these points, grab my pen here again. So if I were to connect these points, my graph would end up looking something like this. Okay, so this is a graph of a log. And this is the graph that we're going to be working with for the next couple of days. And what's important to remember here is basically if we can graph an inverse, which we've done, or if we can graph an exponential, which we've done in the past, then you can graph a log, because all it is the inverse of this exponential. Okay. All right, so that's just a quick little rundown of what we're going to be looking at for the next couple of days. The next video will show you an actual example of what you'll be doing in your assignment.